Alright, Avenger fans, welcome back to another episode of Assemble. My name is High Ruler, and today we have our 21st weekly blog. Today I've been trying to think about what I wanted to do with this weekly blog, whether I wanted to kind of just play it straight and read it to you guys as is, or if I want to give you guys some sort of meta commentary on what I think about the blog and how the blog has kind of failed the community and so on and so forth. And the only reason I say this because before I recorded this today, I went through, some parts of the community where they're more vocal than others, and I kind of want to get a gauge of where some people are kind of at with the blog itself. Um, and in kind of reading a bunch of that and kind of taking in all the information in, you know, I'm not inclined to disagree with some of these people where they say like the blog shouldn't be happening right now because the blog doesn't really serve a purpose in the greater sense of the community and the communication that is missing. And I found that really interesting because I'm actually inclined to agree with them. And you guys see it every week, right? Um, like the community strategy and the communication that's kind of been happening lately has kind of been faltering a little bit, especially since they've come back from um, holiday. Sorry. And it's not to say they haven't really said anything. Obviously, Phil alluded to some bugs and some things that were holding up, multiplayer Mega Hive and Colonial Labs, for example. But in terms of like outside of the dev stream that one time, and I'm not just talking content wise, right? Like new content, specifically Hawkeye or Black Panther, but I'm even talking about bugs and you know, patches, for example. Like we don't know when our next patch is going to be. Stuff like this is kind of like indicative of like a systemic failure to kind of talk to your community, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I think when it comes to Hawkeye and Black Panther, there's probably more at play in the communication strategy than we'll kind of ever know, right? Obviously, they want to make sure that for new characters and stuff like that, there's a big marketing push behind them, obviously. But in terms of like the smaller things like bug fixes and stuff like that, I definitely think there should be some more community outreach to let us know that they've kind of heard these reports, identified the issues, and then are working on fixes. And the reason I say that is because even something small like that kind of goes a long way to show, the commitment there to people who may not see it otherwise, right? And I think right now there should be an emphasis on working to kind of showing people, that there's an effort being made. Now, obviously, they're working and all this, and of course they're working, right? Of course they're working on new content. Of course they're working on bug fixes. But what I'm saying is that a lot of the time, people really want to have continuous updates on a lot of these things that are going on, right? And of course, like I said, I don't think you'll get continuous updates on like a Hawkeye push or like a Black Panther push until like, you know, the 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 I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, so to speak, right? But one of the things I would love to see in a weekly blog, for example, is you kind of go through all this stuff, right? A normal weekly blog post, but at the end, you kind of have like a bug tracker, right? And it'll be like, hey, we've had these kind of bugs reported to us this week. The community, or sorry, the team has identified the issues with these. Um, working on it, blah blah blah, aiming for next patch, aiming for 2 patches away, aiming for 3 patches away, so on and so forth, right? I think something like that could go a long way to kind of to showing the community that they're kind of identifying some of the things that we're highlighting to them, and that they're fixing them and kind of moving forward with that process, right? I think it's one of those things where even a little bit can go a long way in terms of communication. And I definitely think that in terms of the weekly blog, it's not hidden for a lot of people right now, and understandably so, right? People are kind of frustrated, people are upset, and people are kind of wondering like what's going to happen to the game. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think even a little bit goes a long way, and I think right now, when there's so much in the macro sense that we're missing, they really need to beef up the micro communication of like stuff like this to really make it worthwhile for us to read as a community, right? And you guys see it every week, right? I know like there was some conversations in the comment section last week where it's like, what is the goal of these? What is the purpose of these? And in a lot of sense, I agree. I agree. Right now, if the game's going well, and you have a great game that's working well, everything is hitting on time, boom, 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 boom. a weekly blog serves the purpose of, hey guys, I know here's like your weekly reset, and kind of do this. But when the game isn't in a good spot, when the communication isn't in a good spot, is something like this really beneficial to the community? Probably not. So then the question is, how do you make that beneficial? How do you tool this in a way that kind of serves the purpose of kind of providing the community like a weekly kind of like outlook of things that are happening, right? Maybe instead of kind of tooling this to kind of look at the game and the week ahead for the game, maybe this is a week ahead for Crystal Dynamics, right? Maybe they dedicate a part of this for the work ahead at Crystal Dynamics so that people can kind of see the work that's going in behind the scenes, right? And I think that might be a way to kind of take this forward until things are probably in a good spot, and then maybe you can dial that back and then kind of work again at like highlighting stuff in the game when there's more stuff in the game to highlight. um, but I think right now there's just not a lot there for people to read this and not be like, wow, this sucks. And I think that's the problem. So yeah, so if I had to sum it up, I'd probably say right now this should probably be retooled to kind of go as like a week ahead in Crystal Dynamics rather than just a week ahead in Marvel's Avengers, right? And that is my biggest thing. That's my biggest thing. And probably include like a bug tracker, be like, hey guys, identified these. We're working on these. Aim it for the next patch or 2 patches. Stuff like that could go a long way to gain some goodwill, and I think at the end of the day, like, take the little victories when you can get them. And I think this is a little victory that could work. Um, and it all depends on like so many different factors and stuff like that. But I think that might be like kind of a nice way to kind of take like a pain point that is with the community right now, and then kind of create like a reasonable suggestion to kind of address that pain point, right? Maybe that works, maybe that doesn't. We'll have to wait and see. But that's kind of my meta commentary this week. I'll go through the Mega Hive. I'll go through the weekly blog and kind of give you guys a rundown of the week ahead in Marvel's Avengers. All right, so for your weekly blog this week, guys, let's kind of get into it. So your priority missions are in Honor's Name, which is a minimum power level of 25 with a +3 power level offset. Your modifiers are Pressure, Torpedo, Snowball. Guaranteed reward, Epic Gear. Private Eye is your next one with a minimum power level of 120 with a +5 power level offset. Your modifiers are Famine, Goliath, Bane, and Supercharge. With your guaranteed reward, Polychron, and hero-specific gear. Priority Harm challenges. Your weekly first completion reward, the Invincible Iron Man 2004 number 1. Minimum power level 15 challenge. Modifiers are Collider and Torpedo. Next, you have your minimum power level 100 challenge with a +5 power level offset. Your modifiers are Maelstrom, Collider, and Pressure. And this is what it looks like. Woohoo! Looking good. Looking good. All right, so next we have the Mega Hive. As you guys know, with the Mega Hive, it's 2 exotics at the end when you complete it with the last character. This week's modifiers are Resurgence, Famine, Oasis, and Scourge. All right. Marketplace. I think this week, from what I've seen, the only skin we should really care about is Kate's new one from the Young Avengers. As far as I know, too, I was actually reading a conversation, and this should be armor, if I'm correct. It feels like, from what I've seen, this actually should be armor instead of the kind of leather material that they've opted to use. Maybe that's the stylistic choice that they've taken the concept of the skin, they put their own spin on it. But I think I would have rather seen the armor, and I think the armor could have been really cool looking too. Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like what we're getting this week as like an offering, this is the best one. So if you're interested in the skin, this is the best one. Everything else looks to be a recolor. I think this is the normal Vacation Hulk, and everything else is a recolor from this one. But other than that, it looks like the rest of them are kind of recolors. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. But that Kate skin is still pretty fire. So Community Spotlight, place an exclusive community challenge. Team with the global player base to meet mega goals and unlock rewards. The goal is to defeat 1 million watchdogs, and reward is Hulk nameplate 46. Let's take a peek. Looks pretty dope to me. Looks pretty cool. All right, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Not too bad. Not too bad. All right, Community Spotlight. So we have a picture of Kate in the harm room. We have a picture of Cap hitting that ultimate. And we have another Kate pitcher. Not too shabby this week. All right, guys. All right, well that's it for the blog this week, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to, obviously, first and foremost, the kind of rant and my thoughts on the blog as a whole, and then kind of, going through this blog with me this week. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see what kind of moves forward with it, but I would like to see the blog kind of retooled for the times that we're dealing with right now. If there is a weekly dev stream tomorrow, I will be live over on my Twitch channel covering it as twitch.tv/highruler. You guys are more than welcome to come join me. Always some good conversations to be had as we kind of follow along the dev stream and talk about the game, Other than that, if you're new to the channel and you like this content, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time with another Marvel's Avengers video. That being said, this is it for me today. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you later. Peace.